When you go to a supermarket, there are aisles and aisles of pizzas, frozen, fresh, just the base. You know, there are all kinds of choices, and that's because everybody loves pizza. I do. But I like making my own. And if you can make a loaf of bread, you can easily make your own pizzas. And the thing is that everybody likes their pizza different. And with kids, you just give them the ingredients and they make their own pizza. It's a win-win situation. So today we're making pizza. This is Michael, this is the family cook. When we talk about pizza, about making pizza, you're talking about 5 ingredients. So the main one is flour. By bulk, that's the biggest ingredient, right? And we're using strong white bread flour today. Now, we need some water, and we're working on a 70% hydration rate. So 750 grams of flour, and then 520 grams or so of water. Next, we have some olive oil, salt, and finally yeast. And when we talk about yeast, you can use the dry active yeast if you want. I'm using fresh yeast. And that's it. That's all you need. 30 minutes of your time and a little bit extra for the proof, and that's it. In a few hours we'll have lovely pizzas. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to make pizza dough. Important to know is that I've split the flour into 2. So I have 500 grams in here, 250 in here. What we're going to do is we're going to add the water to the bulk of the flour. And we're going to add fresh yeast in here. We're not adding the salt, we're not adding the oil, because we want the yeast to do its job. We want to give it a little bit of time to eat some of those sugars. And so what we'll do is we're just going to mix it. We don't have to knead it yet, but we're making sure that it's all very well incorporated as much as we can. And then we're going to give it an hour, and after that hour we'll add the rest of the flour, the salt and the olive oil, and then we'll have to knead it. So you can see this is very wet dough, but ultimately we're working with a 70% hydration level. So 70% water compared to the amount of flour that we have. Okay, this is done for now. So we're going to cover this and leave it for 1 hour. See you back after 1. Okay, it's been an hour. It's a bit bubbly. It smells a bit yeasty, what you would expect. And it's time to add what we had left over, the flour and the salt and the oil. Alright, we'll mix it in, and then we need to turn it around and we start to knead it. As always, don't feel you need to do it by hand, right? I mean, you could just as easily do it with a kitchen machine and dough hook. Alright, this needs to come out. Come out, wherever you are. Alright, there we go. Feels nice and soft. feeling. It's very wet dough. Alright, let's just work to incorporate it all, and then we'll gradually start to become less floppy, less sticky. I must say it is a very wet dough. I can totally imagine when the dough is so wet, it feels like you don't have any control over it, you know. It might be easier to do it with mechanically. But that's also where the scraper comes in, really handy. Just bring it all together. And when it's so wet, it's like a different technique I sometimes use. You just, and then stretch it, fold. Here, you turn it 90 degrees, pull and fold. See that? And every time I take it from the side, so you effectively turn it 90 degrees. This makes the whole thing a little bit easier when the dough is so sticky. Let me just... And the thing is, the faster you work, the better, right? If you work a little bit faster, it tends to stick less. Anyway, the damage is done. It's alright, I don't mind. But it is a bit easier if you do it with a machine. So this amount, right, with 750 grams of flour and 520 grams of water, so we're effectively about 1.2 kilos of dough, and that's what I typically use to make 4 pizzas. Here, there's a little bit of oil left in here, so I'm just going to a little bit of oil and then back in here, and we're going to leave it again for another hour, and then we're going to shape it into individual pieces of dough ready for the pizza. We're back for the final step. And the final step means that the dough has finished its proof, and we're going to shape it, and then we're going to give it some more time before we're actually going to make the pizzas, okay? So we're just going to take the dough out, and let me just put a little bit of flour, and we're going to put it on this tray in the fridge, ready to go when we're making the pizza. So I'm going to shape this dish for 4 pizzas. So I'm going to shape this into 4 equal parts. Now you could, of course, weigh it, but I'm not that precise and I don't care that much. Just approximately.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the 4 parts. Here we go. And we don't want to work it too much now. This is pizza number 1. This is number 4. And so what we're going to do is just a little bit of flour on top so that it doesn't stick to the cloth. There we go. And then I put a tea towel over it and we'll put it in the fridge, and in an hour or so it is ready to make pizza. This is the fun bit, right? Making the pizza. The actual pizza that goes into the oven. Now, the sky's the limit, right? So I always put some tomato sauce on the pizza rossa, with some mozzarella, usually put some oregano on it, and anything else depends on whoever's eating it. I love anchovies with capers, or maybe a little bit spicy with some jalapeno peppers. My son likes it with ham and olives. My daughter likes a margarita with just with cheese. Anything goes. That's a fun bit about pizza. Now, in Italy they also have pizza bianca, which is without tomato sauce, but I'm not a big fan of that, personally. Anything goes. Now, what I would suggest is, ideally, you preheat the dish, the container onto which you put the pizza. Now, to allow us to make the pizza more or less on the right size, I cut this piece of baking parchment more or less on the size of the dish. So we're going to put the dough on here, we'll have the pizza ready, and then we can slide it onto this metal rack which I use to bake the pizza. So this is going into the oven. It's heating up, 250 degrees Celsius. It's nice to make the oven as hot as possible. And let's make one. So one of these fluffy balls, and then we're going to stretch it out gently. Now, if you're really keen, you can use a roller, of course. I like to use my hands. I love sort of the I don't know, feels like it's a little bit rougher. I don't want to manhandle the dough either, so I just want to carefully stretch it, see how it feels, some bits, before they tear in. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with using a dough roller. Call me quirky, call me crazy. I love to use my hands. It's a bit of a marvel. Okay, so I'm sure we can stretch it out a little bit more. Listen, you don't have to put it on here, right? It's I thought I'd just try it like this to see if it makes it easier to make the transfer. Maybe you have a peel, or maybe you put it on a wooden base, as long as you put some flour under it, which I forgot, then you should be okay to slide it off. Alright, so the first one we'll make a margarita, that's nice and easy. So, a little bit of the tomato sauce that I made in a different recipe. So this is basically, it's not specifically a pizza sauce, but it's more like a pasta sauce. It smells lovely though. I'm using the back of the spoon to just move it around. I think it's very important not to overdo it. It's like a lovely German saying, in der Beschränkung zeigt sich der Meister. You know, it's all about holding back. Otherwise you get like a wet pizza, wet dough. It needs to be a little bit crispy, it needs to have hard bits, dry bits. Now, I put some of the oregano, prezzemolo in. Just a little bit. I mean, even just the smell of the oregano is wonderful. In Italy you can buy this by the bunch on the market. You see that everywhere. It's so beautiful. Alright, so the only thing it needs really now is some mozzarella. And again, I don't want to overdo it. You can do whatever you want, but you know, try to don't make it too wet. You don't want to make it taste just of cheese, right? I think this is it. Okay, this is ready to go. I'm just waiting for the plate to heat up. 5 minutes, and then we'll put this in the oven. Okay, this is number 2. So let's take number 1 out of the oven. Nice and warm. Look at that. That's a beauty. And we'll slide number 2 in. And in about 9 to 10 minutes, number 2 will be ready. Alright, so this is it. Look, beautiful crust. Smells nice. Tastes nice. So, cheers. Buon appetito. I hope you'll make your own pizza now. See you next time.